Mia adjusted her waitress uniform, worried about her sister's tuition due in 5 days. But before the end of her shift, she was wearing a wedding dress, staring at Korea's most dangerous man, Park Minjun, whose voice was as calm as death. In 5 minutes, you walk into that ballroom as my bride. You smile. You act like you're in love. Or everyone you love learns what happens when I don't get what I want. She had come to Seoul for a better life. Instead, she got a white dress and a monster in a suit who knew exactly how to make her say yes against her will. Want to know if Mia survives the night? Subscribe now to hear what happens when she walks through those doors. Mia adjusted her waitress uniform in the staff bathroom of the Grand Joseon Hotel, trying to ignore the knot in her stomach. Adana's tuition was due in 5 days, and her mother's medication needed refilling by Friday. She couldn't afford to mess up tonight. The event coordinator was still talking about the engagement party, something about a wealthy businessman, but Mia had stopped listening after hearing the overtime pay rate. Mia moved between them with champagne trays, catching Korean words she recognized but couldn't string together. People kept checking their phones. The whispering started around 8:15 and hadn't stopped. Something was wrong, but she didn't care. Rich people's drama wasn't her problem. Park Minjun stood near the windows while Tae-hyung whispered updates that made his jaw tighten. Song Yoona, his supposed fiancée, had eloped. Her family knew and let him find out like this, in front of everyone. Every person in this room mattered. The politicians he controlled, the gang leaders who respected him because they feared him, the business partners who needed to see him as unshakable. One text message had made him a joke. In his world, being laughed at got you killed. He had maybe 10 minutes before this became tomorrow's headline, before his enemies smelled blood. Then he saw her, a waitress with brown skin and eyes that didn't bow to anyone, moving through the crowd like she owned the space, beautiful without trying to be, and nobody here knew what Song Yoona looked like. The bride was meant to be tonight's surprise. His mind worked fast. This could work. This had to work. Mia felt the grip on her wrist and gasped. She turned and found a man whose face could start wars. You come with me now. She tried pulling away, but his fingers tightened. 2 bodyguards appeared beside them. She looked around, but everyone was too busy talking to notice. They entered a private room with windows overlooking the city. The door locked. The bodyguards blocked the exit. Mia yanked her wrist free and faced him. "Who do you think you are?" His laugh sounded wrong. "I'm Park Minjun, your new fiancé." She stared. "I don't know what kind of game this is, but I'm leaving." She walked towards the door. The bodyguards didn't move. "In 5 minutes, you walk into that ballroom as my bride," Minjun said. "You smile. You act like you're in love. Then you marry me." "You're insane," Mia said. "I'm not doing anything for you. Let me go right now, or I'll scream so loud everyone hears me." Minjun pulled out his phone. He showed her photos. Her apartment building, Blessing walking to the bus stop, Adana in the university library in Lagos, her mother outside their house, her boss with his 2 daughters. "Your roommate walks home alone through Itaewon every night," he said. "Dangerous neighbourhood. Your sister's scholarship depends on perfect grades. 1 plagiarism accusation and she's expelled. Your mother's medication costs 400,000 won monthly. What happens when the pharmacy can't fill her prescriptions? Your boss's catering business operates on a delicate health license." The room tilted. "You wouldn't. I've done worse for less." Mia's thoughts scattered. This couldn't be real. She was just a waitress trying to survive. "I'll go to the police. I'll tell everyone. Half the police commissioners are in that ballroom," Minjun said. "The other half are on my payroll. Who do you think will help you? You're on a work visa that expires in 3 months. One phone call and you're deported before morning. Then what happens to your family when you can't send money? She wanted to fight. Everything in her screamed to fight. But she was trapped with 2 armed men and a monster who knew everything about everyone she loved. What do you want from me? You play my wife for 2 years. I give you a settlement and freedom. Your family lives in comfort. You refuse, and I make examples of everyone you care about. His voice was flat. This is my world. I don't ask, I take, but I'm giving you a choice most people never get. Her hands balled into fists. Tears burned, but she refused to let them fall. If I do this, you swear you won't hurt them? You swear my family stays safe? Minjun stepped closer. You become my wife. Your family becomes mine. I protect what belongs to me. Always. She thought of her mother's tired face, Adana's dreams of becoming a doctor. Blessing's laugh. She had no choice. I hate you. His smile was cold. You'll have a lifetime to tell me that, Mrs. Park, starting tonight. He made a call in Korean. Within seconds, a woman entered with a garment bag. You have 15 minutes. Make her perfect. Mia looked back at him. This isn't over. No, it's just beginning. The stylist worked fast. Hair pulled back, makeup applied. Then came the dress. White silk that fit like it was made for her. The stylist left and Minjun returned, his eyes scanning her. Good. You'll do. Listen very carefully, he said. You walk in on my arm. You smile like you're the happiest woman alive. When people ask questions, you let me answer. You blush. You look shy. You play the devoted fiancé. One wrong word and everyone you love pays. Do you understand me? I understand. Say it properly. Address me the way a fiancé should. The words cut her throat. I understand, Minjun. When we're in public, you call me baby or honey or whatever sounds natural. When we're alone, you can call me whatever you want. But out there, you're mine. Understood? She nodded. He offered his arm. She took it. The walk to the ballroom felt like walking toward execution. Minjun's hand covered hers. They stopped outside the doors. His bodyguards flanked them. Ready? She wanted to say no. Instead, she lifted her chin. Let's get this over with. Something flickered in his eyes. Remember, you're in love with me. Make it believable. The doors opened, and they stepped into the light. The ballroom fell silent as they entered. 300 pairs of eyes locked onto them. Mia felt the weight of every stare. Minjun's hand slid to her waist, possessive and claiming. His voice carried across the room with perfect confidence. I apologize for the delay. I wanted our first appearance as an engaged couple to be perfect. My beautiful bride was nervous. You know how it is. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Warm, accepting, completely fooled. He guided her through the room, introducing her as his fiancée. She smiled until her face ached, played shy when people congratulated them, let him speak for her like a good little doll. The whispers started anyway. A black bride. Where did she come from? She can't be Song Yuna. Who is she? Minjun's grip on her waist tightened in warning. She maintained her smile even as people dissected her with their eyes and their gossip. Hours passed in a nightmare of small talk and fake smiles. Mia's feet screamed in the designer heels. Her face hurt from smiling. Every time she thought about running, Minjun's hand tightened on her waist or his thumb stroked her skin in warning. Finally, the party wound down. Guests left with congratulations and promises to attend the wedding that was happening in 1 week, apparently. When the last guest left, Minjun's entire demeanour shifted. The charming fiancé disappeared. The cold mafia boss returned. Let's go home, wife. The word sounded like a curse. The car ride to his penthouse was silent, except for Seoul's lights flashing past the windows. Mia stared out and tried not to think about how completely her life just shattered. The penthouse took up the entire top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the city sprawling below, marble floors, modern furniture, art on the walls that might be real masterpieces. "This is your home now," she turned to face him. "This is my prison." Minjun shrugged off his jacket and loosened his tie. "Tomorrow we go to City Hall. Quick legal ceremony, just paperwork. Public wedding next week for appearances." Mia could barely process the words. 1 week? I just got engaged tonight and you want me married in a week. He poured himself whiskey from a crystal decanter. "My world moves fast. You'll learn to keep up." She was shaking now, from anger, from fear, from exhaustion. "I need to call my roommate. Tell her I'm not coming home." He gestured to her phone on the counter. She didn't even realize he had someone take it. "Keep it simple. You met someone. You're staying with him. Don't mention marriage yet. We'll handle that story carefully." Mia grabbed her phone like a lifeline. Blessing answered on the second ring, worried and chattering. "Where are you? Are you okay? The party ran late." Mia forced cheerfulness into her voice. "I'm fine. I actually met someone tonight. I'm staying at his place. Don't worry about me." Blessing squealed with excitement. Mia closed her eyes against the guilt. They talked for 2 minutes before Minjun made a cutting gesture across his throat. "I have to go. I'll call you tomorrow. Love you." She hung up before Blessing could ask more questions. Minjun showed her to a bedroom, massive bed, ensuite bathroom, walk-in closet already filled with clothes in her exact size. "Your room? Mine is across the hall. The bathroom is stocked. You'll find everything you need." She looked at him with exhausted defiance. "And if I try to leave? Every exit has security. Every window has sensors. My men watch the building 24 hours. You won't make it to the lobby. Besides, where would you go? Back to your apartment where I know the address. To the airport where I control security. You're mine now, Mia. The sooner you accept that, the easier this becomes." "You did well tonight." The words sounded almost kind, but they were still a prison sentence. Mia's voice was raw with suppressed tears. "I did what you forced me to do. Don't act like I had a choice. Don't act like this is anything but kidnapping." He paused at the door. Something crossed his face, too quick to read. "For what it's worth, I didn't want it to be like this. But in my world, survival isn't polite. Your world is hell." His smile was bitter. "Yes, and now you live here too. Welcome to hell, Mrs. Park." The door closed behind him. Mia collapsed on the bed, still in her beautiful prison dress, and finally let herself cry. Morning came too fast. Mia woke in unfamiliar silk sheets wearing yesterday's makeup. Her phone showed 17 missed calls from Blessing and 5 from her sister. She was about to call back when someone knocked. A woman entered with a breakfast tray and a garment bag. "Mr. Park says to eat and get ready. City Hall in 2 hours." The woman left before Mia could ask questions. The breakfast was elaborate. Fresh fruit, pastries, coffee that smelled expensive. She couldn't eat any of it. The garment bag contained a simple white dress, elegant, modest, perfect for a quiet courthouse wedding. She wanted to burn it. Instead, she showered and put it on because what choice did she have? The dress fit perfectly. Everything he provided fit perfectly because he knew everything about her. The thought made her skin crawl. She did her own makeup. Minimal. She wasn't going to look happy for this. When she emerged, Minjun was waiting in a dark suit. He looked like he stepped out of a magazine, handsome and terrifying in equal measure. "Ready?" She didn't answer. He took her silence as agreement. The car ride to City Hall was tense. His phone rang constantly. He answered in clipped Korean, business that couldn't wait even for his fake wedding. City Hall was surprisingly mundane. They were shown to a private office where a clerk waited with papers. No ceremony, no romance, just signatures and stamps. The clerk congratulated them in Korean. Minjun translated, even though Mia was learning to understand more than she let on. She says we make a beautiful couple. Mia forced a smile. The clerk handed them a marriage certificate. Official, legal, binding. Just like that, she was Mrs. Park Minjun, tied to a monster she met 12 hours ago. In the car afterward, he handed her a black card. For anything you need, clothes, personal items, whatever you want, it's unlimited. I don't want your money. His laugh was sharp. You'll take it anyway. You need clothes for public appearances. You need to look like you belong at my side. This isn't charity, it's requirement. Besides, what's mine is yours now. That's how marriage works, even fake ones. She turned the card over in her hands. It felt like another chain. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know Seoul that well. He handed her another card. Driver's number. He'll take you anywhere. Bodyguard will accompany you, for your safety. She understood what he really meant, to make sure she didn't run, to watch her every move. The golden leash extended, but it never broke. The next few days blurred together in surreal routine. Mia woke in her gilded cage, ate breakfast she could barely taste, pretended everything was fine when she called her family. Her mother was so proud. My daughter married a successful businessman. God has blessed you. The guilt ate Mia alive. Her sister Adana wanted to know everything about the romance. How did you meet? Was it love at first sight? Mia manufactured a story about meeting at a charity event, about connection and chemistry. Every lie tasted like poison. But telling the truth meant putting them in danger. So she lied and hated herself for it. Blessing was harder to fool. She knew Mia too well. This is so sudden. Are you sure about this? I've never even heard you mention this guy before. Now you're married. What's really going on? Mia forced lightness into her voice. Sometimes you just know. He's good to me. I'm happy. I promise I'm okay. The lies came easier, with practice. That terrified her more than anything. Blessing eventually accepted it, but Mia heard the doubt in her voice. They made plans to meet for coffee soon. Mia agreed, knowing Minjun would control every second of that meeting, every second of her entire life now. The wedding planning happened around her rather than with her. A team of coordinators presented options for venues, flowers, dresses, menus. Mia sat through meetings like a doll being dressed and posed. Minjun made most decisions with barely a glance at her opinion. When she tried to object, he simply said this was how things were done in Seoul. Traditional, expected. She learned quickly that arguing wasted energy, but she filed away every dismissal. Every moment he treated her like property. Her anger built like pressure in a sealed container. One day, it would explode. The penthouse became familiar, but never comfortable. She learned which rooms Minjun used and which she could claim as her own. They maintained separate bedrooms. He worked late most nights. Sometimes he didn't come home at all. She should be grateful for the distance, but instead, she found herself listening for his footsteps, wondering where he went, what he did, who he hurt. At dinner when he was home, they ate in loaded silence. She refused to make small talk with her captor. He seemed content to let the quiet stretch. Sometimes she caught him watching her with an expression she couldn't read. Calculation, maybe, or something more dangerous. Interest. The week passed too fast and too slow. Suddenly, it was the day of the public wedding, the real performance. cameras and guests, and a ceremony designed to cement Minjun's legitimacy. Mia was woken at dawn by a team of stylists who transformed her into a bride. The dress was stunning, custom designed. She stared at herself in the mirror and didn't recognize the woman looking back. This wasn't her. This was the fiction Minjun created. A coordinator explained the ceremony order in careful English, the traditional bows, the vows, the kiss. Mia's stomach turned at that last part. She'd have to kiss him, in front of everyone, seal this nightmare with intimacy she didn't feel. She stood in a private room waiting for her cue. No father to walk her down the aisle. No family at all, because flying them here would mean more lies she couldn't maintain. She was completely alone. Then Minjun appeared in traditional Korean wedding attire. He looked like something from a historical drama. Powerful, regal, terrifying. His eyes scanned her from head to toe. "You look perfect." She didn't respond. He stepped closer and lowered his voice. "I know this isn't what you wanted, but we're here now. Make it through today, and tonight we can drop the act. Just get through this." His words sounded almost sympathetic, almost, but she knew better. Music swelled, doors opened. She walked down an aisle lined with flowers she didn't choose toward a man she hated. Every step felt like betrayal, of herself, of her values, of everything she believed about her life. But she kept walking because stopping meant her family suffered. Minjun watched her approach with an expression of satisfaction. He won. She lost. That was the only truth that mattered. The ceremony was in Korean. She repeated words she barely understood, promises she didn't mean. Then the officiant said something and Minjun pulled her close, his hand on her waist, his eyes on hers. He kissed her, and cameras flashed like lightning. The guests applauded. She tasted champagne and regret. When they pulled apart, he whispered against her lips, "Well done, wife." The triumph in his voice made her want to scream. The reception was lavish and endless. Mia smiled for photos until her face ached, accepted congratulations from strangers, danced with Minjun while people watched and whispered. His hand on her back guided her through steps she didn't know. He was surprisingly good at leading, making her look graceful when she felt like she was drowning. Between dances, people approached with questions. "Where did you meet? How long have you known each other? Tell us the love story." Minjun fielded most questions with practiced charm. "We met through mutual friends. I knew immediately she was special. Love doesn't follow timelines." But one woman was more persistent, an older lady dripping in jewellery and entitlement. She spoke in English clearly meant for Mia to understand. "You're not what we expected for Minjun's bride. Very different from the Song family. Tell me, dear, what does your family do?" The question hung like a knife. Mia felt Minjun's hand tighten on her waist. Before she could answer, he spoke with cold politeness. "My wife's family is private, and that will remain respected, if you'll excuse us." He guided Mia away. She wanted to hate that he stepped in, but part of her was grateful. That part of her made everything more complicated. Late in the reception, a man approached Minjun, tall, expensive suit, eyes like a snake. They spoke in rapid Korean. Mia caught enough to understand this wasn't friendly. The man kept glancing at her with open disdain. Minjun's posture shifted, became dangerous. His voice dropped to a tone that promised violence. The man's smirk faltered. He backed away, with hands raised in mock surrender. "What was that about?" Mia asked when they were alone. "Nothing that concerns you. Business." She didn't believe him. Everything in his world seemed designed to threaten or control. She was learning to read the undercurrents of power and danger that flowed around him constantly. Finally, the reception ended. They were driven back to the penthouse in a car filled with silence. Mia was exhausted down to her bones. At the door, Minjun paused. You did well today. I know this wasn't easy. She was too tired to fight. Can I just go to bed now? Please? He nodded. Tomorrow we can start finding a routine that works for both of us. She almost laughed at the absurdity. A routine in hell. How domestic. But she was too drained for sarcasm. She escaped to her room and finally removed the wedding dress. The beautiful prison costume. She hung it in the closet where she'd never have to look at it again. In bed, she stared at the ceiling and wondered how long she could survive this, how long, before she broke completely. 3 days after the wedding, Mia was in the penthouse library when shouting erupted from Minjun's office. She froze with a book in her hands. His voice carried through the walls, sharp, angry, deadly. She'd never heard him lose control like this. More shouting in Korean, too fast for her to follow. Then silence that somehow felt worse. Minutes passed. The office door opened. Minjun emerged, looking like barely controlled violence, blood on his knuckles, his tie loosened, eyes burning with fury. He saw her and stopped. His expression shifted. Smooths. The mask slid back into place. Sorry, business issue, nothing to worry about. But Mia was learning to read him despite herself. That wasn't nothing. What happened? He poured whiskey with hands that weren't quite steady. The Song family is making moves, spreading rumours that I'm losing control, using fake brides to save face. They're trying to undermine my legitimacy. Everything we did at the wedding, it might not be enough. She should feel vindicated. His plan was falling apart. But instead she felt cold fear. If his plan failed, what happened to her? What happened to her family? Would he still keep his promises, or would she become collateral damage in his war? You said marrying me would fix this. It bought me time. It didn't solve everything. Welcome to my world. Nothing stays fixed for long. The next morning, bodyguards woke her early. Pack a bag. We're moving you. Where? Why? No explanation, just orders. Minjun appeared looking tired and dangerous. The Song family knows where we live. You're not safe here until I handle this. We have a secure location. You're going there, today. Mia's heart raced. Was this how it ended? Was he getting rid of her? His eyes narrowed like he could read her thoughts. You're my wife. That means something in my world. I protect what's mine. You'll be safer at the house outside Seoul. My mother lives there. She'll watch over you. The drive took an hour through increasingly rural landscape. They arrived at a traditional Korean house, surrounded by walls and guards. Beautiful and isolated. Another prison with prettier bars. An older woman emerged, elegant, sharp eyes that missed nothing. She spoke to Minjun in rapid Korean. He responded with deference Mia had never heard from him. Then he turned to Mia. This is my mother. She doesn't speak English, but she's been informed of the situation. You'll be safe here. I'll visit when I can. The mother looked Mia up and down with clear disapproval. Minjun said something that made the mother's expression harden further. Then he was gone, back to Seoul. Back to his war, leaving Mia with a woman who clearly hated her. Minjun's mother didn't speak English, but her disapproval needed no translation. She showed Mia to a room. Traditional, simple, nothing like the penthouse luxury. Then she left without a word. Mia sat on the floor mat bed and tried not to panic. She was more isolated than ever. No phone that worked out here, no internet. No way to contact anyone. Hours passed. A young woman brought meals, rice, soup, side dishes. The woman wouldn't. Meet Mia's eyes. Clearly instructed not to engage, Mia ate alone and felt the walls closing in. On the second day, the mother gestured for Mia to follow. They went to a garden where the mother tended vegetables. She handed Mia tools and demonstrated what to do. Weeding. Mia had never gardened in her life, but she tried. The mother watched with sharp criticism, showing Mia the right way with impatient gestures. It was clear she was testing, trying to break this foreign bride who didn't belong. Mia's back ached and her hands blistered, but she refused to quit. She wouldn't give this woman the satisfaction. By evening, the mother nodded once, not approval exactly, but acknowledgement that Mia wasn't completely useless. Days blurred together, morning gardening, afternoon household tasks, evening meals in silence. The mother seemed determined to work Mia into the ground. But Mia grew up helping her mother. She knew hard work. She matched the mother's pace and refused to complain. Slowly, something shifted. The mother's criticism became instruction. She taught Mia Korean words for vegetables and tools, showed her how to prepare traditional dishes. It wasn't kindness, but it wasn't pure hostility either. Maybe it was respect earned through survival, through refusing to break under pressure. Mia recognized the test for what it was, another version of what Minjun did, seeing if she was strong enough to exist in their world. On the 5th day, Minjun arrived. Mia was in the kitchen learning to make kimchi when she heard his voice. Her heart did something complicated in her chest, relief and anger, and something she didn't want to name. He found her with the mother, who immediately scolded him in Korean. He took it with bowed head and apologetic responses. Then his eyes found Mia. "How are you holding up?" She wiped her hands and tried to look unaffected. "I'm surviving. Isn't that what you wanted?" His mother said something sharp. He responded. They argued briefly. Finally, he turned back to Mia. "She says you work hard, that you're not completely hopeless. Coming from her, that's high praise." Minjun walked with Mia through the garden, away from his mother's sharp eyes. It was the first time they'd been alone since the wedding, the first time she'd seen him look almost human. He was wearing simple clothes instead of expensive suits. His hair was slightly messy. He looked younger, less terrifying, almost approachable. "I'm sorry you got stuck here. It should only be a few more days. The situation in Seoul is stabilizing." She wanted to stay angry, but exhaustion made her honest. "Your mother hates me. She thinks I trapped you or something." He almost smiled. "She thinks every woman is trying to trap me. She'll come around. You're tougher than she expected. Why does that matter? What do I care what your mother thinks of me? This isn't real, remember? Business arrangement, 2 years and divorce." His expression changed, became unreadable. "Things are complicated right now. The Song family is pushing back hard. Having you here, having my mother accept you, it strengthens my position, makes the marriage look legitimate. So, I'm still just a tool, a prop in your war." He stopped walking and turned to face her. "You're my wife. In my world, that means protection, safety, belonging. I know you didn't choose this, but you're part of my family now. That's not nothing." The words sounded almost sincere. That was what made them dangerous. They sat on a bench overlooking hills turning gold in sunset. The silence between them felt different than before, less hostile, more uncertain. Mia broke it first. "That man at the reception, the one you argued with, who was he?" Minjun's jaw tightened. Lee Sang-ho, rival organization. He thought he could move on my territory while I was distracted with wedding preparations. I corrected his assumption. "Did you hurt him? Would it bother you if I did?" She considered the question honestly. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel about any of this. You're a criminal. You threatened my family. But you also kept your promises. You protect me, even though I hate you. I don't know how to process that. You don't have to process it. You just have to survive it, like I do. Every day." His voice carried weight she hadn't heard before. Vulnerability, maybe, or exhaustion that matched her own. For the first time, she wondered what it cost him to be who he was, to maintain control through fear and violence, to trust no one, to be constantly at war. Then she remembered he chose this life. She didn't. The sympathy evaporated. We should go back. Your mother will think we're doing something inappropriate out here. His laugh was soft and unexpected. She'd probably approve. She wants grandchildren. Mia's face flamed. That is absolutely not happening. Never. He stood and offered his hand. She took it without thinking. His grip was warm and solid. For just a second she let herself feel protected instead of trapped. Then reality crashed back. She dropped his hand and walked ahead, putting distance between them, distance she desperately needed. That night, Mia woke to gunfire, sharp cracks that shattered the rural silence. She bolted upright, heart pounding, shouting in Korean, running footsteps, more gunshots. Her door crashed open. One of Minjun's bodyguards gestured frantically. "Come now!" With no time to process, she ran in her nightshirt and bare feet. The bodyguard pushed her toward a hidden door in the hallway. It opened to stairs leading down, a safe room. She was halfway down when she heard Minjun's voice above, commanding, deadly. Then more gunfire. The bodyguard tried to close the door, but Mia planted her feet. What about Minjun? What about his mother? The man didn't understand English, but his meaning was clear. Get down there now. She descended into a reinforced room lit by emergency lighting. Monitors showed camera feeds from around the property. She saw figures in black moving through the garden. Minjun's men engaging them. Muzzle flashes in the darkness. It looked like a war zone. The mother appeared on one screen being escorted by guards to another safe room. At least she was protected. But where was Minjun? Mia's eyes scanned the feeds frantically. There, front entrance. He was behind a wall with 3 men, shooting at attackers. Cool and controlled like this was just another day. She watched him move with lethal precision. Who he really was. Not the businessman, not even the mafia boss, a soldier in an endless war. The battle lasted 20 minutes that felt like hours. Finally, the attackers retreated. Minjun's men pursued them off the property. The house fell silent, except for ringing ears and racing hearts. Mia sat on the safe room floor, shaking. The door opened. Minjun appeared, blood on his shirt, cut on his cheek, eyes wild and dangerous. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, unable to find words. He pulled her up and checked her over anyway, hands running over her arms and shoulders, making sure. She should have pushed him away, but shock kept her frozen. Who was that? What just happened? The Song family. They found us. I knew they would eventually. That's why the safe rooms were prepared. They could have killed us. You brought me here and they almost killed us. Her voice rose with hysteria she couldn't control. He gripped her shoulders. Look at me. I would never let that happen. Every person on this property would die before anyone touched you. Do you understand? You're mine to protect. Mine. The possessiveness should terrify her, but instead, it made her feel safe. That terrified her more. She wasn't supposed to find comfort in him. He was her captor, her enemy. But right now, with adrenaline singing in her blood and death so close, she just felt all she could process was that he was alive. They were both alive, and that mattered more than it should. They couldn't stay at the house. Too compromised, too dangerous. Within an hour, they were packed and moving to another location. This one deeper in the countryside. More security, more isolation. Minjun's mother came with them. She fussed over Minjun in Korean, checking his injuries, scolding him for something. He took it with patience Mia didn't know he possessed. Then the mother turned to Mia, studied her, said something in Korean that sounded almost kind. Minjun translated, "She says you didn't panic. You followed orders. That's good." She's impressed. Mia didn't feel impressed. She felt like she was losing her mind. The new house was more fortress than home. High walls, armed guards, security systems everywhere. Her room had a panic button by the bed, windows that didn't open. She was safer and more trapped than ever. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow could hide an attacker. She paced her room until she couldn't stand the walls anymore. The house was quiet as she slipped into the hallway, found herself outside Minjun's room. She knew she shouldn't. But her hand knocked anyway. He opened immediately, dressed only in sleep pants, bandage on his ribs from earlier. Are you okay? No. She was shaking. I can't stop thinking about the gunshots, about how close we came. I keep seeing it over and over. He pulled her inside and closed the door, sat her on his bed. The room was sparse, functional, nothing personal except a photo on the nightstand, him with a young woman. Beautiful, smiling. He saw her looking. My sister, she died 5 years ago, car accident. The Song family arranged it because my father refused to work with them. The marriage was supposed to be a truce, but it turns out they never wanted to settle. That's why this is war. That's why I can't lose. She looked at him with new understanding. You're not just protecting your empire, you're avenging her. He didn't deny it. Every day, every decision, everything I do is making sure they pay for what they took from me. Now do you understand why I needed this marriage so badly? She did understand. That was the problem. She was starting to see him as human instead of monster. As someone damaged and dangerous but driven by pain, she recognized, I'm sorry about your sister. No one deserves that. His eyes met hers with something raw and unguarded. No one deserves a lot of things that happen in this world. But we survive anyway. That's all we can do. The space between them felt charged, electric, dangerous in a completely different way. She should leave, go back to her room, put distance between them. Instead, she stayed frozen, caught in his gravity, in the vulnerability he was showing her, in the realization that she didn't hate him quite as much as she should anymore. That terrified her most of all. Days at the new fortress blended together. Mia trained with the bodyguards. They taught her basic self-defense, how to handle a gun, where to aim if she ever needed to. Minjun watched these sessions with approval. She's a quick study, natural fighter, refuses to be helpless. Good. That's the kind of wife I need, someone who can survive my world. She shouldn't feel pleased by his praise, but she did. That was how insidious this was becoming. She was adapting, accepting, starting to find her place in the madness. His mother warmed to her incrementally, teaching her Korean cooking and language, sharing stories about Minjun as a boy, how serious he was, how he protected his sister, how he changed after she died. The mother's grief was palpable even years later. Mia found herself sympathizing, finding common ground in loss and survival. One evening, the mother took Mia's hand and spoke in halting English, clearly practiced. You good for my son, strong, not weak like other girls. You make him remember he's human. The words hit harder than expected. She wasn't supposed to be good for him. She was supposed to be counting days until escape. But escape felt less urgent now, less possible, less desired. Minjun worked from the house. His office became familiar territory. Sometimes he called her in to translate things. Her English was better than his men's. She became useful beyond just being a prop wife, became part of his operation in small ways, offering opinions on deals, noticing details others missed. He started asking her input before making decisions. Small ones, at first, then bigger. Your instincts are good. You see angles I miss. She wanted to reject the partnership, but instead she leaned into it, found satisfaction in being valued, in having purpose beyond survival. One night, they shared dinner alone. His mother retired early. The guards were posted outside. It was just them with wine and Korean barbecue. They talked about growing up, her childhood in Lagos, his in Seoul, how different their worlds were, how similar their determination to protect family. The conversation flowed easier than it should. She laughed at his stories. He smiled at hers. It felt dangerously normal, dangerously good. When their hands brushed, reaching for the same dish, they both froze. The air changed, became heavy with awareness. He didn't pull back. Neither did she. This was dangerous. She knew it was dangerous. But she was tired of fighting, tired of hating, tired of pretending this wasn't becoming something she never expected, something she might actually want. The kiss happened during a rainy night. They were standing too close. He admitted he'd never trusted anyone the way he was starting to trust her. She admitted she'd never felt as alive as she did in his dangerous world. The confession hung between them. Then lightning flashed. Thunder shook the house. He turned to her. She turned to him. The kiss was inevitable, explosive. All the tension and fear and anger transforming into desperate need. She kissed him back without thinking, without holding back, his hands in her hair, her hands on his chest. Months of resistance crumbling in seconds. They broke apart, breathless. This is crazy. I know. We shouldn't. I know. But neither moved away. She was supposed to hate him. She was supposed to be planning an escape. Instead, she was pulling him back down, kissing him like she was drowning, and he was air. It was wrong, and right, and terrifying. He lifted her, and she wrapped her legs around him. All the walls she built to protect herself crumbled. He carried her to his room, laid her on his bed with something like reverence. Are you sure? If you're not sure, we stop right now. She should say stop, should reclaim her power. Instead, she pulled him down. I'm sure. Show me I'm yours the way you keep claiming. That night changed everything. She stopped sleeping in her room, stopped maintaining distance, stopped pretending this was temporary. They became husband and wife in truth. Not just on paper, his possessiveness became her security, his protection became her shelter. She learned his body and his scars, both physical and emotional. He learned her strength and her vulnerability, how to make her laugh and how to make her scream his name. It was intense and overwhelming and probably unhealthy, but it was theirs. Something real in a relationship built on lies. She fell asleep in his arms, and for the first time since this started, she felt safe, felt chosen, felt wanted beyond what she could provide or threaten, just wanted for herself. The next weeks were strange and beautiful. They existed in their fortress like the world outside didn't matter, training together, planning together, sleeping tangled in each other every night. His mother noticed and approved, started making comments about grandchildren. Mia blushed, and Minjun smiled. It was domestic in the most surreal way, a mafia boss and his reluctant bride playing house while war raged outside. But inside these walls, they created something like peace, something like happiness, something neither of them expected. He taught her about his organization, the legitimate businesses that funded the illegal ones, the careful balance of power, the alliances and enemies. She was smart and picked it up quickly, started offering strategic advice he actually took. You're wasted as just a wife. You should run operations. She laughed, but he was serious. I trust you. That's rare in my world. Use it. She found herself wanting to be part of his empire instead of just existing in it. When did captivity become partnership? When did hatred become something else entirely? They went shooting at the compound's range. She was getting better, hitting targets with increasing accuracy. He stood behind her, adjusting her stance, his hands on her hips. his breath on her neck. It was supposed to be training but became something else, always became something else with them. You're a natural, dangerous woman. She turned in his arms. You made me dangerous. Now you have to live with it. His smile was pure pride. I wouldn't have it any other way. They kissed, surrounded by the smell of gunpowder and possibility. This was her life now, learning to shoot and fight and survive, learning to love a man who started as her nightmare and became her reality. The bubble broke when they returned to Seoul. The war with the Song family escalated. Minjun needed to handle it directly. They moved back to the penthouse, back to the world of appearances and danger. Mia was introduced to his organization properly, met the men who worked for him, faced their skepticism and curiosity. She wasn't what they expected, not what anyone expected, but she held her ground, made it clear she belonged at Minjun's side, not behind him, beside him. His equals noticed, adjusted their behavior accordingly. She was becoming not just his wife, but his partner, his queen in this dark kingdom. But threats multiplied. The Song family was getting desperate. Attacks became more frequent, more violent. Minjun left for meetings that lasted all night, came home with blood on his clothes that wasn't his. Mia learned not to ask questions she didn't want answers to, learned to clean wounds and hide fear, learned to be strong when he needed her strong. This was what loving him meant, accepting the darkness, embracing the danger, being brave enough to stand in his world without flinching. She did it because somewhere along the way, he became hers to protect too. One night, he came home so tired he could barely stand. She ran him a bath, helped him undress, washed blood from his hair. He leaned into her touch like a man starving for gentleness. I'm so tired of fighting, of watching my back every second, of wondering who will betray me next. She kissed his temple. I won't. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. He looked at her with eyes that had seen too much. How did I get so lucky? You threatened to destroy everyone I love and forced me to marry you. His laugh was soft and broken. Best decision I ever made. She shouldn't agree, but she did. Somewhere in this twisted start, they found something real, something worth keeping. The Song family made their final move. A coordinated attack meant to end everything. Hit Minjun's businesses, his operations, his people, everything at once. The penthouse became a war room. Minjun and his men planning strategy. Mia listened and learned, offered ideas drawn from instinct. They're not expecting you to involve your wife. Use that. Make them think you're distracted, then hit them where they're weak. He looked at her like she was a revelation. You're brilliant. Dangerous and brilliant. She smiled, sharp and fierce. You made me this way. Now let's finish this. The operation took 3 days of coordinated strikes. Minjun was gone more than he was home. Mia stayed at the penthouse with guards, waiting, worrying, praying to a god she wasn't sure listened anymore. Please keep him safe. I know what he is. I know what he does. But please, I can't lose him. Not now. Not when I finally let myself care. The waiting was torture. Every phone call could be the one telling her he was dead. Every hour that passed tightened the vice around her heart. She realized with crystal clarity that she loved him completely, impossibly, despite everything. Because of everything, he was hers and she was his, and nothing else mattered. On day 3, he came home, exhausted, bloodied, but alive. It's done. The Song family is finished, their operations seized, their leaders arrested or disappeared. We won. She threw herself at him, kissing him desperately, checking for injuries. You're okay. You're really okay. He held her tight enough to bruise. I told you, I always protect what's mine, and you're mine, forever. Not just 2 years. Forever. Say you understand. She pulled back to look at him, saw the vulnerability under the command, the fear that she'd still leave, that this was only ever temporary for her. I understand. I'm yours, and you're mine. That's the deal now. With the song, family destroyed, peace settled over Seoul. Minjun's empire stabilized, grew stronger. He was more powerful than ever, more legitimate. The marriage that started as desperation became his greatest asset. Not because of appearances, because Mia was actually brilliant, actually capable, actually perfect for this life in ways neither expected. She took over operations he trusted no one else with, became feared and respected in her own right, not just as his wife, as herself, as the woman who survived him and conquered him, who made a king kneel. They threw another party. This one was a celebration. Mia wore red instead of white, power instead of innocence. She worked the room like she was born to it, making alliances, subtle threats, playing the game as well as Minjun. Better in some ways because people underestimated her. She used that, weaponized their assumptions. He watched her with open pride. That's my wife, my queen, untouchable. Later in private, he pulled her close. I was going to let you go after 2 years. Honor our deal. But I can't now. I won't. Tell me you feel the same. Tell me this is real. She cupped his face, made him meet her eyes. You kidnapped me, threatened my family, forced me to marry you. She paused. His face fell. Then she smiled. Best thing that ever happened to me. I found my purpose. I found my strength. I found you. I'm not going anywhere. This is real. All of it. His kiss was relief and possession and promise. She kissed back with everything she had. They made something impossible possible, turned nightmare into dream, found love in the darkest place. It shouldn't work, but it did. They shouldn't work, but they did. 6 months later, Mia stood in the penthouse looking at pregnancy test. Positive. Her hands shook. This wasn't planned. They were careful. But life had other plans, apparently. She didn't know how to feel. Terror. Joy, uncertainty, everything at once. She found Minjun in his office, showed him the test. His face transformed, went from shock to wonder to fierce protectiveness in seconds. You're pregnant. We're having a baby. She nodded. Are you happy? Are you kidding? He lifted her and spun her around. I'm terrified and thrilled, and you're never leaving my sight again. This is everything. His mother cried happy tears when they told her, immediately started planning, buying things, making demands about traditional ceremonies. Mia let her, accepted this family as hers now. Her own mother and sister flew to Seoul for extended visits, met Minjun, saw how he treated Mia. Her mother pulled her aside. This man loves you, really loves you. I see it in how he looks at you. Like you're his whole world. Are you happy, my daughter? Mia thought about the journey, the terror, the anger, the slow transformation, the impossible love. Yes, Mama, I'm happy. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. The baby was born on a spring morning. A daughter with Mia's eyes and Minjun's determined expression. They named her Ji-hai, beautiful and wise. Minjun held her like she was made of glass, like she was the most precious thing in existence. He looked at Mia with tears in his eyes. You gave me everything. Hope, love, purpose, a family, a reason to be better. I don't deserve you, but I'll spend my life trying to. Mia touched his face. We saved each other. That's what we do. That's who we are. 2 broken people who found healing in the last place we expected. 2 years later, the penthouse was filled with laughter. Ji-hai was walking and talking and ruling everyone with tiny fists. Mia ran half of Minjun's operations now. legitimate businesses that helped people. She used her position for good, helping immigrant workers, funding schools, making sure people like she was had protection and opportunity. Minjun supported every initiative, proud of the woman she became, the queen she always was. They weren't perfect. They still fought, still struggled with his possessiveness and her independence, but they chose each other every single day, blessing visited often. She and Mia finally had that coffee, then another. Now she was part of the family, working for one of Minjun's legitimate companies, thriving in Seoul. She teased Mia about the dramatic romance. You literally married your kidnapper. That's the most dramatic love story ever. Mia laughed. I know, it's insane, but look at us now, happy, strong, together. Nothing about their story was normal, but it was theirs, built on darkness and threats and impossible choices, but also on strength and resilience and choosing to find light in shadows. Minjun stood at the window holding Ji-hee, looking at Seoul spread below, his empire, his city, his family. Mia joined them, wrapped her arms around them both. This life chose them as much as they chose it, made them into something neither expected, something powerful and dangerous and beautiful. He kissed her temple. No regrets. She thought about that night, the terror, the anger, the feeling of her world ending, then thought about everything that came after, the love, the partnership, the family, the life beyond anything she imagined. Not a single one. You? He looked at her like she was everything. Best mistake I ever made. They stood together, three against the world, an empire built on threats, sustained by love, their story and their truth, their happily ever after written in shadows and light. Here's the question that haunts me about Mia's story. At what point did survival become love? Was it the first kiss? The first time she called him by name without hatred? Or was it always inevitable? Two broken people finding each other in the wreckage. If this story grabbed you, hit subscribe. I've got more tales of dangerous men and the women who tame them. Drop a comment and tell me, Team Mia or Team Run for Your Life. See you next time.